The Galactic Council Chamber was the largest structure ever built by intelligent life. It floated in deep space like a silent god, surrounded by stars that looked small compared to its size. Inside, thousands of representatives from hundreds of alien species sat in layered circles, watching the center stage. Today was not a normal meeting. Today was a judgment. At the center of the chamber stood a single human, Elias Varen, that he wore no armor, no weapons, no protection, just a simple, dark uniform, clean and formal, as if he had come for peace talks, not his own execution. Lights from above fell on him, making him the only bright figure in a sea of shadows. Around him, whispers spread. Is this the human species? They look fragile. No clothes, no natural weapons. Pathetic. Some laughed openly. Others didn't even try to hide their disgust. Them. Humans were weak. Soft. A species that had survived by luck, not strength. A species that had no place among the powerful civilizations of the galaxy. And yet, Elias Varen did not react. He stood still, calm. His hands rested behind his back. His breathing was slow. His face showed no fear. That was the first thing that felt wronged at the highest platform. Sitting on a throne made of black crystal, the alien empress watched him closely. Her eyes were cold, sharp, and filled with quiet authority. She ruled one of the most powerful empires in the galaxy, and today she had already made her decision. Human, she said, her voice echoing across the chamber. You were given a chance to prove your kind had value. Silence fell instantly. Elias slowly raised his head and looked directly at her, not with fear, not with anger, but with something else. I am not here to prove value, Elias said in a calm, steady voice. I am here to offer peace. A wave of laughter spread across the chamber. Peace? They're begging now. Of course they are. The Empress did not laugh. She leaned forward slightly. Peace, she repeated, as if tasting the word. After your species has been judged as weak, irrelevant, unnecessary. Elias did not look away. Yes, he said simply, because strength is not shown by destroying others. It is shown by choosing not to. More laughter, louder this time, crueler, but something strange happened. The Empress did not speak immediately. She studied him. Carefully, his face was calm. Too calm. His eyes steady. No shaking. No signs of panic. No desperate attempt to survive. That it was as if he already knew what would happen. Your words are meaningless, the Empress finally said. The galaxy does not need weak species. Elias gave a small nod. I understand, he said. That answer made some of the aliens pause. There was no begging and no argument and no fear, just acceptance. But then something changed. Elias smiled that it was small, quiet, almost unnoticeable. But it was there, and it didn't look like the smile of a man about to die. It looked like the smile of someone who had already made peace with something much bigger. The Empress noticed. Her eyes narrowed. You still think you have leverage? She asked. Elias shook his head slowly. No, he said. I think you have made a mistake. The chamber went silent again. A mistake. From her, that was not something anyone said and survived. The Empress stood up. Her presence alone made the air feel heavy. I do not make mistakes, she said coldly. Elias looked at her, and for the first time, there was a hint of sadness in his eyes. That, he said softly, is exactly the problem. That was enough. The Empress raised her hand. Execute him. No hesitation, in no debate, in no mercy. From above, a weapon system activated. A glowing spear of plasma formed in the air, humming with deadly energy. It aimed directly at Elias's chest. The entire galaxy was watching. Live, billions of eyes. Waiting. Watching the moment humanity would be humiliated, erased from relevance. But Elias did not move. He did not try to run. He did not close his eyes. He just stood there, calm. The weapon fired at a flash of light. The plasma spear tore through his chest with a burst of energy. Gasps filled the chamber. Some watched with satisfaction, others with curiosity. But something was wrong, very wrong. Elias did not scream. Not even a sound. His body shook slightly from the impact, but his face remained peaceful, almost relieved. Blood spread across his uniform. His knees weakened. But before he fell, he spoke. His voice was quiet, but in the absolute silence of the chamber, everyone heard it. "You chose," he whispered, "the wrong twin." Confusion. Shock. Some didn't understand. Others felt a strange chill that Elias's body collapsed to the ground. Lifeless, still, the lights dimmed slightly, and oh music, and oh celebration. Just silence. Heavy, uncomfortable, unnatural. And then the transmission cut, black screened in oh sound. Nothing, but far away beyond the chamber, beyond the reach of the council. A signal traveled through space, fast, direct, unstoppable, and somewhere, on a distant warship drifting in the dark, a man received it, that a man who looked exactly like Elias Varen. But his eyes held no peace, only war, because at that exact moment, he had just watched his brother die. Far from the shining halls of the Galactic Council, far from the laughter, the arrogance, the careless decision that had just been made, there was only darkness. The massive human warship drifted silently in deep space. Its surface was black, absorbing light like it didn't want to be seen. No signals, no markings, no identity. To the rest of the galaxy, it did not exist. Inside, the bridge was quiet. Not peaceful quiet, but controlled quiet. The kind that only existed where every person knew their role and fear had no place. At the center stood a man, tall, still, watching the stars through a wide glass panel. General Kale Varen. He looked exactly like Elias. Same face, same features, but everything else was different. Where Elias had calm warmth, Kale had cold focus. Where Elias had hope, Kale had certainty. Where Elias spoke of peace, Kale prepared for war. That a soft sound broke the silence. Beep. A signal. Every officer on the bridge froze. They all knew what that signal meant. Priority transmission, direct, from the Galactic Council. And O1 spoke, and O1 moved. Kale slowly turned. "Play it," he said. His voice was low, controlled, empty of emotion. The holographic screen lit up in front of him. The recording began. The council chamber appeared. Aliens. Laughter. Mockery. And then Elias, standing alone. Unarmed. Calm. The crew watched in silence. Some lowered their eyes. Others clenched their fists. No one dared to speak. They all knew him. Not just as a diplomat, but as the one man who had been holding the galaxy together. The only one stopping this exact moment from happening. The recording continued. Elias offering peace, the laughter, the Empress, the sentence, execute him. Someone on the bridge whispered, "No." The plasma spear formed. Kale did not react. He did not blink. He just watched. The weapon fired. Light filled the screen. And then Elias's final words. "You chose the wrong twin." The recording ended. Silence. Heavy, unbreakable. And no one moved. And no one even breathed too loudly. All eyes slowly turned toward Kale. Waiting. Hoping. Fearing. But Kale said nothing. He stood there, staring at the empty screen. Seconds passed. Then, minutes. It felt like time itself had stopped. Finally, one officer couldn't take it anymore. "General," he said carefully, his voice shaking slightly. "Orders." Still nothing. Kale stepped forward, slowly. His reflection appeared in the dark screen where Elias had just died. Point 2 identical faces, point 1 gone, point 1 left behind. Kale raised his hand and deactivated the recording. The screen disappeared. Just darkness again. When he spoke, his voice was calm. "Too calm." "Confirm," he said. The officer swallowed. "Life signs 0. Ambassador Elias Varen is gone." Silence again. But this time, something changed. Not outside. Not in the room. Inside Kale, that it wasn't rage, that it wasn't sadness, that it was something far more dangerous. Decision. Kale closed his eyes for a brief moment. And when he opened them, whatever humanity the galaxy might have understood was gone. "Prepare the fleet," he said. The words were simple, but they hit harder than any weapon. The officers froze. Fleet? Not a ship. Not a squad. The fleet. That meant one thing. Everything, General, another officer, whispered. Are we initiating full protocol? Kale looked at him, and for a second, the officer wished he hadn't asked. Yes. No hesitation and no doubt. Just one word. And with that, the illusion was over. Across the ship, alarms didn't scream, they whispered. Systems activated quietly. Hidden mechanisms came alive after years of silence. Deep within the ship, sealed sections unlocked. Weapons no alien race had ever seen powered up. Engines shifted into modes that officially did not exist, and far beyond this single ship, in the empty parts of space where nothing was supposed to be, something began to move. More ships, hundreds, thousands, all hidden, all waiting, all human. Back on the bridge, one young officer stared at the tactical display as new signals appeared one by one. His voice trembled. General, these fleets, they were never registered. How long have they been? Years, Kale said. The officer looked at him in shock. Years? That meant this was planned, not just a response to a preparation. Kale stepped closer to the main display. Red markers filled the screen now. Strategic points, enemy systems, trade routes, military bases, every weakness of the galaxy, already mapped, already studied, already understood. Ambassador Varen delayed them as long as he could. Kale said quietly. N01 interrupted. N01 dared. He gave them every chance, Kale continued. Every warning. His eyes moved across the display, cold, precise. They chose not to listen. A pause, then they chose this. The crew felt it. Not anger. Not revenge. Something worse. Purpose. One officer finally asked the question no one else could. What happens now, sir? Kale didn't look at him. He was already watching the first fleet formations align. Already calculating. Already moving 10 steps ahead. When a species that values peace, he said slowly, prepares for war. He stopped, just for a second. It does not fight to win. The officer felt a chill run down his spine. Kale's voice dropped even lower. It fights to end it. On the display, the first human fleet jumped to faster than light. Then another, like shadows disappearing into the dark, and warnings, and announcements, and fear. And somewhere, deep in the galaxy, the first alien system was about to learn that humanity had never been weak. They had only been patient. The first human fleet did not arrive with noise. There were no warnings flashing signals, proud declarations of war. One moment, the alien system of Carthos Prime was calm. The next, humanity was there. Carthos Prime was a stronghold, a heavily defended system controlled by one of the most powerful species in the Galactic Council. Their fleets guarded trade routes. Their weapons were feared. Their commanders had never lost a battle. They were not worried about humans. Not even a little least, not until their sensors started failing. Report. The Carthos commander ordered, his voice sharp. Sir, we are detecting. The officer hesitated, confused. Nothing. The commander frowned. Nothing. That's the problem, sir. There should be movement. We are receiving distortions, but no confirmed ships. A ripple of unease spread across the control room. Distortions without ships? That was impossible. Then, every screen flickered, just once. But it was enough because when the image returned, they were there. Human ships, dozens of them, hundreds, black. Silent. Perfectly stilled AS if they had always been there. Just unseen. How? Someone whispered, and one answered. There was no time. Raise shields, the commander shouted. Prepare weapons. Target all human vessels. Alarms finally screamed. The system came alive in panic. Weapons charged. Fighters launched. Defensive grids activated across the entire planet. The commander leaned forward, eyes burning with focus. Fire. A storm of energy blasted toward the human fleet. Enough firepower to destroy entire worlds. The space between the two forces lit up like a dying star. And then silence. The explosions faded. The light disappeared. And the human ships were still there. Untouched. Not a single one had moved. Not a single one had been hit. What? The commander whispered. His sensors screamed errors. Target locks failed. every shot had missed. Not because the humans were fast, but because they had never been where the weapons thought they were. They're predicting us, an officer said, fear rising in his voice. Every move, every calculation, the commander clenched his fists. No, impossible. But deep down, he knew this was not normal warfare. This was something else on a human flagship. Everything was quiet, and no panic, and no shouting, and no chaos. Just control. General Cale Varen stood at the center of the bridge, watching the battle like it was already over. Enemy attack patterns confirmed, an officer said. They're following standard combat logic. Cale nodded once. Of course they are. He looked at the display. Every enemy ship, every movement, every decision, already mapped, already predicted. Begin Phase 1, he said. Yes, General. No dramatic gestures and loud commands, just simple words. And then the human fleet moved, but not forward. Not in a battle. They split perfectly. Half the ship stayed in position. The other half disappeared, not destroyed, not retreated, gone. The Carthos commanders stared in disbelief. Where did they go? Before anyone could answer, a new alarm screamed. Sir, unknown signatures behind us. The commander turned, his eyes widened. The human ships that had vanished were now behind their defensive lines, inside their formation, inside their system. That impossible NO fleet could move like that. NO technology allowed that. And yet, here they were. Turn the fleet. Engage from all sides, the commander shouted. But it was too late. The humans had already made their move. What followed was not a battle. The IT was a lesson. Human ships did not fire wildly. They did not waste energy. Every shot hit, precise, controlled, deadly point one by one. Alien ships lost power. Not exploded, disabled, weapons gone. Engines dead. Communication systems erased. They were not being destroyed. They were being removed systematically, like pieces taken off a board. Why aren't they finishing us? An officer cried. The commander had no answer, because this didn't feel like war. It felt like something else, something colder, something intentional. Back in the human flagship, enemy fleet neutralized, the officer reported. Minimal resistance remaining. Cale watched silently. Casualties? He asked. 0. Of course. Cale turned slightly. Open a channel. The officer hesitated. To the enemy, sir? Yes. The channel opened. Across the broken Carthos fleet, every surviving screen lit up. The commander looked up, and for the first time, he saw the face of the man leading the humans. Cale Varen, calm, expressionless, identical to the man they had executed. The chill ran through the commander's body. You, he whispered. Cale spoke. His voice carried across the entire system. Clear, cold. You were given a chance. The commander's hands trembled. You chose to ignore it. Cale continued, and angered, and shouting. Just truth. We can surrender, the commander said quickly. This is not about surrender. The words hit harder than any weapon. The commander froze. Then what? Cale's eyes didn't change. This is about understanding. Silence. Heavy. Terrifying. What do you mean? The commander asked. Cale looked at the disabled fleet, the broken defenses, the system that had once felt untouchable. When a species chooses peace, he said slowly, it is not because it is weak. The commander felt his breath stop. It is because it knows exactly what it is capable of. Cale paused, just long enough for the words to sink in. Then, and you forced us to remember. The transmission ended, just like that, an final warning, an countdown. Nothing, for a moment, nothing happened. Then every human ship powered up at once. Energy levels rising, weapons charging. This time there was no restraint, and across Carthos Prime, for the first time in its history, fear truly began. The galaxy expected rage. After what happened at Carthos Prime, every alien empire believed the same thing. Humans had finally lost control. They thought more systems would burn, more fleets would be destroyed, more worlds would fall. They were wrong, because General Cale Varen did not fight with anger, he fought with patience. Days passed, then weeks. And something strange happened. Nothing did. Massive attacks. Wide destruction. Revenge storms across the stars. Human fleets disappeared again, just like before. And that silence was worse than war. In the command halls of the Galactic Council, tension grew. They are regrouping, one leader said. No, another replied nervously. They are planning. The alien empress sat in silence on her black throne, watching, waiting for the next move, but no move came at least. Not one they could see. IT started small that a supply convoy failed to arrive. Then another. Then 5 more. Entire trade routes went dark without explanation, and distress signals, and debris, and survivors. Just gone. Pirates, someone suggested, but even pirates left traces. This left nothing. Then military outposts began to fail, not attacked, not destroyed, just offline. Weapon systems unresponsive, shields inactive, communication dead. When fleets were sent to investigate, they found empty stations fully intact but abandoned, like the people inside had simply vanished. Fear began to spread, quietly, deeply, unstoppably down on the human flagship. The atmosphere was the same as always, calm, controlled, precise. General Cale Varen stood in front of a large tactical display. It showed the entire galaxy, filled with moving points of light. Not chaos, not random attacks, that a perfect, calculated pattern. Phase 2 progressing, an officer reported. Enemy supply chains reduced by 40%. Cale nodded slightly. Continue. Another officer stepped forward. Enemy fleets are increasing patrols. They are expecting direct confrontation. Cale's eyes didn't move. They will not get it. Sir, with respect, the officer said carefully, why not end this quickly? We have the advantage. That question hung in the air. Cale finally looked at him. Ending it quickly teaches nothing. The officer stayed silent. Cale turned back to the display. If they fear destruction, he continued, they will resist. His voice was calm, cold. But if they fear the unknown, he let the sentence fade. He didn't need to finish it. Everyone understood. Across the galaxy, commanders began to panic. We are losing control, one shouted during an emergency meeting. Our fleets are intact, but we cannot supply them. Ships are disappearing without battle. We cannot fight what we cannot see. For the first time in centuries, the powerful felt helpless. Then came the reports that changed everything. Sir, we recovered something. The Empress looked up that a data core was placed before her. Source? She asked. Abandoned human probe, hidden near one of our lost supply routes. The Empress activated it. A holographic file appeared. Old, encrypted, but now unlocked. Play it. The room darkened slightly, and then a human voice filled the air. Calm. Familiar. Elias Varen. The Empress froze. This is a contingency archive, Elias said in the recording. If you are seeing this, then peace has failed. Silence filled the room. Even the air felt heavier. This is not a threat, Elias continued. This is a record, a plan. Images appeared, maps, strategies, weak points across the galaxy, supply lines, defense gaps, psychological pressure points, everything detailed, everything perfect. The Empress's eyes widened. This was created by our peace ambassador? One advisor whispered in disbelief that Elias's voice continued. If diplomacy fails, humanity will not strike blindly. We will not waste lives. We will not create chaos. The maps shifted, showing exactly what was happening now. Convoys disappearing, systems failing, fleets isolated, step by step, move by move, everything following this plan. We will remove their ability to fight, Elias said calmly, before we give them a reason to. The recording paused. The room was silent. And O1 spoke, and O1 moved, because they all understood now. This wasn't revenge. This wasn't anger. This was designed on the human flagship. Cale stood alone in a quiet chamber. In front of him, a small screen, a personal recording. Elias again. But this one was different, private. You're watching this, aren't you? Elias said softly, a faint smile on his face. Cale didn't respond. He just watched. I know you, Elias continued. If I'm gone, you won't react with anger. A pause. You'll be worse. Kale's expression didn't change. You'll finish what we started, Elias said. Not for revenge, but because you believe it's necessary. Another pause that Elias's smile faded slightly. I'm sorry it had to be this way. Silence filled the room. For a moment, Kale closed his eyes, just for a second, then opened them again, cold, focused, unshaken. Back in the council chamber, the Empress stood slowly, her hands tightened around the edge of her throne. This was planned, she whispered. Not a question, but a realization. From the beginning, the human ambassador had known. Every word, every move, every possibility. He had not come to beg for peace, he had come to offer a choice. And they had rejected it, Your Majesty, one advisor said. Carefully, what do we do now? The Empress did not answer immediately, because for the first time, she understood something she had never considered before. They were not at war with an emotional species. They were at war with a species that had already accepted this outcome, a species that had prepared for this moment long before it arrived. Far away, human fleets continued their silent work, cutting, isolating, controlling, not rushing, not stopping. And at the center of it all, General Kale Varen watched the galaxy slowly lose its balance, not with satisfaction, not with anger, but with absolute certainty, because this was never about winning battles. This was about something far more final and far more terrifying. Humanity was not fighting to win. They were making sure there would be nothing left to fight back. By the time the Galactic Council called for a full emergency session, it was already too late. The chamber that once echoed with laughter was now silent, cold, heavy with fear. Representatives from every major species were present, but this time, no one spoke out of pride. No one mocked. No one smiled, because across the galaxy, everything was failing. Trade had collapsed. Military supply chains were broken. Entire defense networks had gone dark. And worst of all, no one knew where the humans were. They're everywhere and nowhere, one commander said, his voice shaking. We cannot track them. We cannot predict them. Our fleets are starving, another added. Fuel, weapons, even communication relays. Everything is being cut off. This isn't war, a third whispered. It's control. The word hung in the air, control, not destruction, not chaos. Something far more precise. The highest platform. The alien empress stood in silence, an throne in comfort. Just a clear view of the chamber she once ruled without question. Her eyes moved slowly across the terrified faces below. For the first time, she saw them not as rulers, but as targets. Play the latest report. She said that a hologram activated, a distant system appeared. One of the council's most fortified capitals. Thousands of defense platforms, massive fleets, layer upon layer of protection that IT should have been untouchable. Status, the Empress asked. Alive, the officer replied carefully. But surrounded. The hologram zoomed out, and there they were, human ships, countless, silent, positioned at every exit point, every escape route, every possible path. They weren't attacking. They weren't moving. They were just there, waiting. They have not fired a single shot, the officer continued. No communication. No demands. The chamber grew even quieter. Then what are they doing? Someone asked, and one answered. Because deep down, they already knew. Back on the human flagship, the same system appeared on Kale Varen's display. Every human ship in perfect formation, every angle covered, every outcome calculated. Encirclement complete, an officer reported. Enemy fleet contained. Civilian sectos untucha. Kale nodded once. Maintained position. The officer hesitated. Sir, no attack? Kale's eyes remained on the screen. No, a pause. Let them understand. Back in the council chamber, the Empress stepped forward, slowly. Her voice was quieter now. Not weaker, but different. This is not war, she said. Everyone looked at her. This is judgment. A chill spread through the room. Another report came in. Your Majesty, more systems are reporting the same pattern. They're not being destroyed, just surrounded. How many? She asked. The officer hesitated. All major systems. A wave of fear moved through the chamber. All? That meant there was nowhere left to run. The Empress closed her eyes for a brief moment, and in that silence she saw it clearly. The human ambassador, Elias Varen, standing in the center of this very chamber, offering peace, warning them, giving them a choice. And she had ordered his death, publicly, proudly, without hesitation. Her eyes opened, slowly, and for the first time in her rule, there was something inside them that had never been there before. Doubt. Open a channel, she said. The chamber froze. To the humans? An advisor asked carefully. Yes. Her voice did not rise, but it carried something heavier than authority. Understanding. The signal was sent across the silent, controlled galaxy, through blocked routes and broken systems, through a network that humans now controlled completely. And after a long moment, a response came. On every screen, one face appeared, calm, cold, unmoving. General Kale Varen. A ripple of shock spread across the chamber. Some had seen him before. Most had not. But all of them understood one thing instantly. This was not the man they had executed. This was something else. The Empress stepped forward. For a moment, she said nothing, because she didn't know how to begin. Not as a ruler, not as a conqueror, but as someone who had made a mistake. General Varen, she said finally. Kale did not respond. He just watched. The silence stretched. Uncomfortable, heavy. Then, you have made your point, the Empress continued. The galaxy understands your strength. Still nothing in o reaction in o emotion. We are prepared to negotiate, she said. The word felt strange in her mouth. Negotiate, something she had never needed before. Kale finally spoke. One sentence, flat cold. You already did. The Empress felt the weight of those words instantly. That moment, that chamber, that choice. That IT had been the negotiation, and they had failed. Her hands tightened slightly. Then what is this? She asked, her voice quieter now. She gestured to the holograms. The surrounded systems. The silent fleets. The entire galaxy held in invisible chains. The Kale's answer came without hesitation. Consequence. The chamber felt smaller, colder, like the walls themselves were closing in. You're not destroying us, the Empress said slowly. IT wasn't a question. IT was realization. No, Kale replied at a pause. Then, we're making sure you understand. Silence, and one dared to speak. The Empress took a step forward, closer to the screen, closer to the man who now held the fate of everything she had built. And what happens, she asked carefully, when we do understand? For the first time, Kale's eyes shifted slightly, not with anger, not with satisfaction, but with something far more final. That, he said quietly, depends on what my brother would have wanted. The words hit harder than any weapon, because for the first time, the Empress understood the full truth. This was never about her, never about power, never even about war. This was about a man she had executed, a man who had offered peace, a man who had tried to stop all of this. And now, the entire galaxy was waiting for the judgment of his brother. The Empress lowered her head slightly, not in defeat, but in something far more rare, regret. And as the connection remained open as billions across the galaxy watched in silence, a single tear formed in her eye. For the first time in her life, the alien Empress was afraid.